Good morning, and thank you for attending. This is my final project for my EEC 673 class where Dr. Finger is my professor. I will explain my final project, which is entitled English Language Learners, There's More to Know. And the format of this project is by way of an in-service for not a school-wide setting, but building-based reading coaches from 8 different schools. And I have chosen this format because I would like to empower these reading coaches to take this information back to their schools so they can in return empower or create lead teachers within their schools. So let's go ahead and talk about the final project. The agenda for this final project is set up in a strategic teaching format where there's a before, during, and after. And I am facilitating this project or in service via PowerPoint. Okay? So the outcomes for this particular in-service are participants will gain a deeper understanding of English language learners and appropriate practices. Secondly, participants will clear key misconceptions which are associated with the education of English language learners. Okay? Now, the deliverance of this particular in-service will be delivered via a strategic teaching lesson, which contains 3 parts. They are before, during, and after. And I'll start by talking about or sharing with you the during portion of this lesson. Okay? If you look at my handout here, this is actually the handout for the during and the after portion of the lesson or the facilitation. Looking at the handout, you see it is titled English Language Learners, Myths and Realities. How I would like to use this handout is to determine, first of all, the background knowledge or the prior knowledge of my learners, or I should say my participants. So what my participants will do is they will read the statements that are there in the center, and they will check whether they agree or disagree with this statement. By doing so, I am able to determine the prior knowledge of my participants and their thoughts as it relates to English language learners. Now, after the participants have read the 4 statements and they've chosen whether they agree or disagree to that particular statement, they will partner with their assigned partner, and I like to call these partners dialogue partners. They will have 2 partners, partner A and partner B, and I'll show you this form. If you look at this particular form, it's titled the dialogue partner, and participants will have partner A for the before portion and partner B for the after portion. Okay? So partners will have an opportunity to turn and talk or collaborate with each other, which is important. Okay? Now, for the during portion of this particular in-service, participants will read from the required text of my class. They will read pages 1, 8, 12, and 38. And those were 4 key points that really hit home with me. That's where most of my learning actually took place. And this is what I would like to carry over to the coaches that I train in this in-service. So after reading those particular pages, the participants will not only read those pages, but they will also, as they are reading, record jot notes or important thoughts or statements that stand out as it relates to that particular topic. And of course, those topics are covered on the anticipation guide. And I hope you can see this clearly. So if you notice here on the form, there's a chunk 1, chunk 2, chunk 3, and chunk 4. Okay? That is the during portion of this lesson. Of course, after each chunk, I will share with the participants some research based on my readings from the required text. Now, the after portion of this in-service or of this lesson, once again, we will go back to our anticipation guide, and you see here to the far right, you have agree and disagree, and the participants will read the statement a second time, and more than likely at this point participants will have to change their answers, some of their answers from agree to disagree. That is perfectly fine. That is what I would like to see, because I want to know that the learning has taken place and that any misconceptions are at this point cleared. Okay? Now, what I hope to happen after this in-service is for the building-based reading coaches to take this information, this learned information, back to their schools so that they can empower teachers there within their schools. For further details about this project, I am submitting the actual paper which thoroughly explains in detail this project. I am also submitting the PowerPoint to go along with this particular project. I hope this was informative, and I hope you've learned from this particular project. Thank you, and have a wonderful afternoon. Goodbye.